I talk to so many smart, fantastic, ambitious, idealistic, hard-working kids, and they're right out of college, they're in their entry-level jobs, and I'll ask them, how's it going? And they'll say, I think I'm gonna quit. And I'm like, why? They say to me, I'm not making an impact. I'm like, you know you've been here 8 months, right? They treat the sense of fulfillment or even love like it's a scavenger hunt, like it's something you look for. My millennial friends, they've gone through so many jobs. They're either getting fired, I mean, it was mutual, or they're quitting because they're not making an impact, or they're not finding the thing they're looking for, they're not feeling fulfilled, as if it's a scavenger hunt. Love, a job you find joy from, is not something you discover. It's not like, I found love. Here it is. I found a job I love. That's not how it works. Both of those things require hard work. You are in love because you work very hard every single day of your life to stay in love. You find a job that brings you ultimate joy because you work hard every single day to serve those around you, and you maintain that joy. It's not a discovery. But the problem is this sense of impatience. It's as if an entire generation is standing at the foot of a mountain. They know exactly what they want. They can see the summit. What they can't see is the mountain. This large, immovable object. That doesn't mean you have to do your time. That's not what I'm talking about. Take a helicopter, climb, I don't care. But there's still a mountain. Life, career fulfillment, relationships are journeys. The problem is, this entire generation has an institutionalized sense of impatience. And do they have the patience to go on the journey to maintain love, to feel fulfilled? Or do they just quit and on to the next, dump and on to the next, ghost and on to the next?
I started working at this video store, was pretty much what you're talking about around that time. And it was great at first because I'd always hated day jobs and stuff. And so I got a day job and it ended up being pretty good. But admittedly, I was there for 5 years. At a certain point, it was a narcotic. All right, I didn't have to keep pursuing my dreams because, you know, it's not what I want to do, but it's sort of kind of close. And if I didn't have an artist soul burning in me, I could have made myself happy with that. I could, if I didn't have an artist soul burning to get out, I could have, you know, walked backwards a couple steps and just done that. And it would have been a fulfilling, well, to anybody else, it would have been a fulfilling life. It wouldn't have been for me because I would have known I would have had something to say that I didn't get a chance to say. But it did put me to sleep for a while. And I've always just thought, I mean, what really got everything kind of truly going for me, you could point out a lot of different things, but the bottom line is the fact that I realized that even the group of people I hung around with, they were all great fellas and great gals. But, you know, it was easy for me to think that I was doing a lot because I was doing more to try to move myself forward than they were. But, you know, that's not, okay, I'm a big fish in a puddle. So what? All right, they're not doing anything. All right, so yeah, I'm doing more than them. But I realized that actually I need to get my ass out to Hollywood and meet other people who are, you know, like in my category or working a little higher, and I should be the weakest link in my chain that I have, and that'll make me be stronger. It'll make me run faster. I mean, like an analogy I've always used is, all right, if you run the 100-yard dash with people that can't run as fast as you, yeah, you'll win. Hands down, you know that. But if you run with people much faster than you, all right, yeah, you might come in last every single time, but your time will be better. Because they're making you run all the faster. They're making you dig down just a little bit more. It doesn't matter that you won. Your time is faster. And that's what I knew I had to do. I had to get out of Loserville and throw myself into a place where, like, this is what the do for a living.
Every problem is a business. I'm going to close on this verse. Sow your seed in the morning. You know who wrote this? The richest man that ever lived. Normally, I would suggest to people, if you want to be successful, don't take advice from a failure. This guy was the richest man that ever lived. I figure you better listen to the fella. Here's what he says. Sow your seed in the morning, and in the evening, let not your hands be idle. He tells you why. Because you know not which one might prosper you, whether this one or that one or both. This is good advice. Let me explain what he means. He says, in the morning, go to work on your job. In the evening, work on your own business. See it there? In the morning, go to your job. In the evening, work on your work. In the morning, go to the job. In the evening, don't watch TV. Do you know that your future is after 5 p.m.? Please listen to me before I go. See, you don't understand. You build your life after you go home. Because from 9 to 5, you don't own your life. Think for a minute. You got a 9 to 5 job. That means you cannot grow between 9 and 5. You can't work on your future between 9 and 5. You're building someone else's. You got to work after 5. After 5 o'clock, start thinking, dreaming, working, developing. Why? He says, in the evening, let not your hands be idle. Now he tells you why. Because you know not which one will succeed. Now the folks who were just laid off this week from the hotel, if they only had the morning seed, they're in trouble. I'm talking to some of you. You need to go home and start working after 5. Life begins after 5 p.m. Your life. Sometimes people joke me, they joke with me and say, but Pastor Miles, you don't hardly sleep. You're right. Most of the time, I am working between, 6 and 2, 3 a.m. 4 a.m. is easy for me to go to work. I'm just going to bed at 4 a.m. My wife will tell you, but because you can't build your future by going to bed for 8 hours. 8 hours times 7 is 56. That means you sleep 2 days every week. No, this is serious business. You never thought about it. You sleep 2 days every week. Most successful people build their lives while you are sleeping. Sow your seed in the morning. And in the evening, let not your hands be idle. You see those books that Dr. Richard wrote? He didn't write them between 9 and 5. He probably was up late in the night working on, all Pastor Dave, working hard. I want to talk about me, oh my God. To produce a global book, man, with research. You can't go to bed 9 o'clock. Sow your seed in the morning, and after 5, start working, he says. Both may succeed, You don't know which one. Boy, Bahamians love 5 o'clock. Get out of my way. Where you going? Home. That's about it. Just home. We're so busy going home, we don't go to our destiny. Be a different person. Don't be a normal person, please. Let today be the last day you allow TV to destroy your life.
Most people allow their fear of failure, 80%, allow their fear of failure to outweigh their desire to succeed. When you're willing to fail again and again and again, when you make up your mind to become unstoppable, when you make up your mind to become a no matter what person, then that will then give birth to a part of yourself that you don't know right now. And maintaining a spirit of optimism and challenging yourself and learning from your mistakes. Understand that the setback is a setup for a comeback. You have comeback power. As a friend of mine named Willie Jolly would say, that the things that you experience when you win. I used to be a state legislator in Columbus, Ohio. When I won a debate and got legislation passed, I won because of what I knew. When I lost a debate, I lost because of what I didn't know. And so now I had to go back to the drawing board and study harder to come back again and to challenge my opposition.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I would love to know, because you mentioned courage. According to you, can we develop that? Can we develop?
Yes, courage can be developed, absolutely. And there are things that will help you to do that by putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. Sometimes life will force you to become courageous. And so it's there that most of us don't develop our courage muscle. Case in point, that I've had the challenge, and I'm watching my languaging, of dealing with the fear of claustrophobia, of being closed in. And I had to have an MRI. And so I'd never had one before. So the first time I came, they had about 4 or 5 females in the room. They said, "Are you afraid?" When they opened the door, I looked at them and said, "No." I was terrified. But I developed my courage. But the first time they closed the door, I started knocking and said, "Hey, let me out, let me out." And then I had to call a friend of mine to calm me down. And he said, "Les," he said, "cancer is a thief. Let them find it before it becomes a murderer." He said, "Focus on the outcome, not on the process." And so the way that I handle fear is I don't focus on what is it that's terrorizing me. I focus on what is it I want to accomplish. And I see myself achieving the victory. I see myself living from the dream, living from that place that I'm reaching for in my mind. Einstein said the imagination is the preview of what's to come. And so we can bypass the things that will cause us to be afraid by looking at and being focused singly on the things that we're going for.
Yes. And I would like to have your point of view about something. When people are setting up big goals, sometimes they have big fears in doing that. So do you think we have to keep our big goals, or we have to lower the goals, or lower the action, lower the comfort zone?
We're living in an incredible time that there's nothing that we can't do.
Yeah.
We're living in a time where we have, in our lifetime, seen someone go from prisoner to president of a country in South Africa, Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
Where President Barack Obama, raised in a single-family household, an African-American male, became the most powerful man in the world.
Yeah.
So what we know is that anything's possible, and we must challenge ourselves. The only reason that most of us don't accumulate a level of achievement in our lives, one, most people end up aiming low. That's what I did most of my life, that most people fail in life, not because they aim too high and miss. Most people fail in life because they aim too low and hit. And that's what I did. I was a disc jockey. I was very satisfied. I achieved a level of professionalism and mastery in that area. And then someone challenged me and said, "You can do more." And it took him 14 years to convince me to become this person that you now see. This person that you now see, this voice, which I consider my power voice, I had absolutely no idea that this person existed. But there is sometimes in life someone can take you to a place within yourself where you can never go by yourself. And he saw something in me. And sometimes you have to believe in somebody's belief in you until your belief kicks in.
And what do you say to someone who are saying, "Oh, nobody around me are believing in me"?
And that's okay. If you have that, that's great. If you don't have it, it's okay. I, for years, read books of people who I didn't know, but I considered them as my personal mentors. I studied Winston Churchill, who said, "The truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but at the end, there it is." I studied Earl Nightingale, who said, "All of us get in life what we are, not what we want. All of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it." So I studied these people, and they mentored to me. I feel their spirits. I surrounded myself in my bed with their books and their audio, in my imagination, and listening to their audio programs. Yes. So how much does the library card cost? It's free in the United States. I don't know what in your country. So I suggest that you spend time working on yourself. Study the high achievers. I did that to find out, how did they get there? I studied the life of Frederick Douglass, who said, "We won't get everything that we fight for, but everything we get, it will be a fight." And so as you study these people and imagine yourself in their position, and in your mind's eye, say to yourself, as I did, if they can do it, I can do it. They put their pants on one leg at a time. They breathe air just as I do. And so I believe that what you focus on the longest becomes the strongest. What we think about, we bring about. When you train your mind to serve you
Yes.
by reading a minimum of 20 to 60 pages a day, listening to audio programs, writing goals down, reading them 3 times a day, you're literally creating a new mental blueprint and imagining and seeing yourself already living from the goal. You begin to do some things that most people look at it and see as magical.
You don't have to hold yourself hostage to who you used to be or anything you ever used to do. Because who has lived and hasn't made mistakes? When I think about my 20s and what a foolish girl I was and how I would give over my power to men who really didn't mean me well, but now I hold no grudges against them either because I realized I'm the one who gave over the power because I didn't know any better. And now that I know better, I know I don't have to do that again. It's one of the most powerful lessons any of us can ever know.
As soon as I finished school, I was always getting pestered. What are you doing with your life? Are you doing this, doing that? They didn't know what it was. They didn't know what MMA was. They didn't know what none of this. They didn't know I could make a career out of it. As far as they were concerned, my man and dad I'm talking about, as far as they were concerned, I was just getting into a cage and fighting with some other guy. They didn't know nothing about it. No one did, really. But I knew, you know what I mean? I knew. But and then I ended up getting a trade just to keep them quiet. Because I used to have a lot of fights with my dad.
What trade did you get?
I ended up getting a trade as a plumber. Literally up in the back arse of nowhere, up in Wicklow, the Wicklow Mountains. And funny enough, that site was one of the biggest sites in Europe. Kiltiernan. It was right at that skiing place. Huge. And now it's just abandoned. Now it's just deserted. So I used to go up there 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. I was on that M50. I used to have to walk to the N4. About half an hour from my house, wait for some Limerick guy that I didn't even know. He'd drive on the M4 and I'd have to flag him down. Nightmare, yeah. 2 hours down on the M50, 2 hours back. Literally 14-hour days, and I was the first year, so I had to go and do everything. I had to go to the shop. I had to go and get this and get that. So I always had trouble with that, and I was like, this isn't for me. This is not for me.
How long did you last?
I lasted 18 months doing it, but it was tough, you know what I mean? It wasn't the life for me, you know what I mean? And then John said, because I was training with John as well at the time. And then John got in touch and says, I have a show, I'm running a show, I'd like to fight on it. And then that was it. I just packed it in, didn't show up. My dad used to come in and punch the head on me and like try and drag me out of bed. And I just wouldn't go, you know what I mean? I had uproar for a good few years with him over, but and that was it. I just packed it in, quit, and then focused on training. And I knew what was going to happen. I knew I was going to get here. They didn't. There was a lot of stressful years, you know what I mean? A lot of tough times. But I proved them wrong. I proved myself right.